Greetings, friends. Today I'm talking more about an armor heavy list that I'm building. I'm going to run this in Gladiator's Task Force this Saturday. Please join our stream this Saturday and see some of the first 10th edition battles in the channel. I'm looking forward to it. Let me talk you through some of the synergies and the thoughts and why this one might be good for Gladiators. Alright, let's get into it. Okay, greetings, friends. Let's get into a much heavier armor list and see what you guys think of this. I can't decide if it's good, but I'm gonna give it a run out. And this could actually be a real good argument for playing the Gladius detachment. So if you wanted to play Blood Angels in the Gladius detachment, that is the detachment that gives you basically the doctrines, then this could be one way of doing it. I'm going to start with the Gladiator Valiant. We haven't seen much play around the Valiant, but what's important to know is both its multi-meltas and its twin Las Talons are strength 10. So that's a buff on the multi-melta. I think I looked at it and it seems to be the only multi-melta that is strength 10. I don't know why. Normally they'd have called it like a Godhammer multi-melta, but anyway, we've got basically two multi-meltas. And we've got the twin Las Talons. I had to double check that. Yeah, so you get 4 multi-melta shots and then you get the 2 Las Talon shots. However, each time this model makes an attack with the twin Las Talon against the closest monster or vehicle, add 1 to hit. So the Las Talon will get to hit on 2s if you target the closest monster or vehicle unit. Again, OC 3, again toughness 10, 3 up save, 12 wounds. A bit more survival than ones before, and obviously access to smoke, and potentially armor of contempt too. Okay, my other list that I talked about the other day included Assault Intercessors with Mephiston and the Impulsor and the Shield on. I'm going to keep that. I think if you've got tons of armor you can just run at the enemy, then it feels like there's no reason you can't run an Impulsor. They're probably not going to want to shoot the Impulsor because you're going to have much more threats on the battlefield. In this case, I'm going to have Brutalis, a couple of Redemptors, and a Gladiator. Are they going to have enough firepower to kill an Impulsor as well? I don't think so. I think this is going to be a surefire way for me to get Mephiston across the board. Get him forward. I mean, I'd probably advance my Impulsor in turn 1, so potentially somewhere between 13 and 18 inches, meaning that maybe the turn 2 charges could be kind of an easy setup. We'd have to see, right? I'm then going to play a big Vanguard Veteran squad with the Captain, and that would basically mean my Vanguard Veterans, which have the heirloom weapons, which is strength 5, -1, 1 damage, and they do lethal hits on the charge, which means 6s to hit become auto wounds. So it's Vanguard Veterans with jump packs, and I get that people are a little bit upset about their heirloom weapons. But I think this is one way that you can probably make them good, is having a captain with them. So it'd be strength 6, -1. The Sanguinor Priest is giving you -2 on your AP. The Sanguinor Priest also is giving this giant block a 5 up Feel No Pain. So all these Vanguard Veterans plus Storm Shields, because I'm going to have them all with Storm Shields. That gives me 4 up saves across the board, and those are invulnerable saves obviously. I then have a 5 up Feel No Pain from the Sanguinor Priest. I then have my Captain with his Thunderhammer and his Storm Shield. I mean, I guess he could take an Infernal Pistol because he's kind of protected and the Storm Shield might only matter later in the game. But regardless, I just want a Captain with a Thunderhammer, get some devastating wounds. I've got the Vanguard Veterans giving me lethal hits on the charge. I've got the Sanguinor Priest giving me 1 point of AP. And, I mean, this unit will just be very good at mopping up infantry. I imagine this unit could actually deal with a decent bit of armor as well, potentially, just to use over the moments for the full hits on wounds and, well, hits and wounds. So, but overall, I think this Vanguard Veteran squad will be a nightmare for people to deal with. They'll be able to absorb quite a lot of firepower, and the Sanguinor Priest also gives them some protection against mortals, and like I said in my other video, at the moment people think Thousand Suns with all their mortal wounds are going to be devastating to deal with. So this is one way of providing a little bit of protection against that. I'm also going to run 2 Redemptor Dreadnoughts with the Plasmas. There is actually an argument now with the Redemptors where you could take the heavy onslaught cannons, because the heavy onslaught cannon is going to be 12 attacks, 601, but obviously has devastating wounds. So combined with the fact he can have an onslaught cannon on his other arm, meaning you can basically get 20 shots, hitting on 3s. But I guess the whole point of it really is you're fishing for 6s. So this guy should, with 20 shots, be able to get like some 6s. So a few mortal wounds every time he fires. He could do a little bit of damage to armor, could finish something off. But I like running with the plasma. I think the plasma has got better. Strength 9 and -4, d6 +1. I feel like it's not that scary to shoot hazardous, because you would only ever be rolling 1 dice now, and if the Redemptor Dreadnought takes 3 mortal wounds, I don't think it's the end of the world. So a couple of Redemptor Dreadnoughts here with plasma. Bearing in mind, most of the time, plasma is going to be wounding like high armor on 5s. Even if you overcharge it, there could be an argument here to just not overcharge it. Use it to just absolutely destroy infantry and then try and get in combat with your fist. We know the fist is very good. Strength 12 -2, 3 damage, and obviously the Redemptors can all tank shock. We also have a Brutalis Dreadnought in here, which is basically the same as the Redemptor. It's nice to see the Redemptor Dreadnoughts with OC4 as well. So if they do get on an objective and they kill a few models, it's likely the objective is going to be yours. The Brutalis has basically the twin-linked multi-melta on strength 9, so a reliable multi-melta. It has a Brutalis charge, which lets it do up to 6 mortal wounds when it charges, combined with tank shock, which can do up to 6 mortal wounds when it charges. Means that, like, when you charge with the Brutalis, I think you're going to be doing somewhere between 6 and 12 mortal wounds. It's going to cost you 1 CP, but I think it's very worth it. And there's not many things that can just shrug off 10 mortal wounds and then take 6 attacks from the Brutalis, and bear in mind, his weapons are all twin-linked. So basically, like, he's going to be re-rolling all his wounds on his strength 12 weapons. I have a squad of Incursors in here again, because I think that Incursors basically being able to give all my shooting, which in this list would be the Gladiator Valiant and the 2 Redemptors and the Brutalis, +1 to hit against some targets, could be pretty useful. I'm then going to have the Sanguinor in reserve. He can heroically intervene in turn 2 or 3, and it will be awesome because he fights first and he's got devastating wounds and he has 8 attacks, which is a large amount of attacks for a weapon skill 2 up. However, there was some concern that basically, like, if you went first, then you could only really keep him off the board for turn 2, because there would be a risk that if the enemy doesn't charge you in turn 3, you wouldn't be able to bring him down as a heroic intervention, thus he'd essentially be dead. And since then, I have figured out that you can actually basically start him in reserve and keep him off the board during the beginning of turn 3, right? Because what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to see if the enemy is going to charge you. So if you went first, in turn 2, there was no charges against you, so there was no option for the Sanguinor. In turn 3, you can see, hey, the enemy are maybe going to set up some charges here, so I feel confident leaving the Sanguinor in strategic reserve because I think they're going to have to charge me now. If the enemy sets up and they look like they're not going to charge you, then at the end of your movement phase, you can actually play Rapid Ingress and bring the Sanguinor down, 9 inches away from the enemy. In their turn, you could actually bring him down 12.1 inches away from any enemy you like, and they will not be able to shoot him because he's a lone operative and he's out with 12. He moves 12, so basically you bring him 12.1 away, they cannot shoot him, they cannot charge him because they can't declare on him because he's over 12 away, and then you're guaranteed charge into what you wanted to fight because you can move 12, so you can basically move on top of them, or you can move within 1 inch where you will not fail your charge. Based on that, I actually think this character is better than I realised, and I think it all comes down to the lone operative and rapid ingress. Leave me a comment if you think that's clever. You can also tell me if you think I'm an idiot, but I think it's clever. I also have chosen heavy intercessors. I've had these models. I've got 2 squads of 5 of them. I've had them for so long. I felt like it was worth giving heavy intercessors a bit of love. They have toughness 6 now, and they have, if I can ever spell intercessors, they have the advantage now, which basically means Unyielding in the face of the foe is active all the time. So while this unit is within range of an objective marker, each time an attack with damage characteristic of 1 is allocated, add 1 to your armor save. So basically, if you're in cover on an objective marker, you can ignore 1 AP because they're on a 3-up save from the cover, and then you can also add 1 to their armor save. So these guys can save on 2. They are toughness 6, and their bolt rifles actually look pretty good, right? Like, their bolt rifles are assault heavy 30-inch, strength 5, -1 damage, and one of the guys can have a heavy bolter as well. So I like the heavy intercessors, I think, quite a bit. 110 points, I think they're worth giving a run out. So I'm going to finish off this squad with a 40-point Voidsman at Arm unit, and the reason I like Voidsman at Arms is it's 5 guys for 40 points, and they're battle line. And if there's anything that requires you to do actions, that requires basically battle line units, and requires 5 like there was in 9th edition, then this is going to be really useful. Full disclaimer, I haven't seen all the secondaries for 10th edition yet, and I'm probably going to be making some changes. But this is just the second list that I have decided to give a try. I'm going to be running both these lists this Saturday, so please come along, check them out, check out the stream. And hopefully from here, I can refine some of my lists going forward. I do want to do a video on comparing Gladiator's detachment against Blood Angels, because this detachment may actually benefit quite a bit from Gladiator's detachment. I said I'd talk about that at the very end, and one of the reasons that this one may actually benefit is the doctrines, right? And the Marine doctrines here, the main one, Devastator Doctrine. This unit is eligible to shoot in a turn which in advanced. Well, that would let me get both Redemptors and the Brutalis right that bit quicker across the board, turn 1. Maybe the Impulsor and the Gladiator as well. I could just advance everything. Just shoot, 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 shoot. Have the heavy intercessors advance. Voidsmen hold the backfield. The Vanguard veterans, I guess, will probably be advancing into cover anyway, but we could throw everything forward. There is also an option, I suppose, with the Vanguard veteran squad of playing rapid ingress in the opponent's turn 2 and just trying to then get into some good opportunities from that. I guess we'd have to think about that. Tactical Doctrine is you're able to shoot and declare a charge in a turn you fell back, which obviously would be very useful if some of these Dreadnoughts do get into combat. They can fall back, they can shoot all their powerful Dreadnought weaponry. They're not nearly as weak when they get bracketed now, Dreadnoughts, so they're just much more effective. So there's that, and then Assault Doctrine obviously gives us ability to advance and charge, which I guess if we've advanced all our Dreadnoughts in turn 1 and shot at full power, and then in turn 2, depending on how far away we are, if we can advance and charge, there's an argument to say the Brutalis and all 2 Redemptors, sorry, could all be in combat range in turn 2. Obviously, Mephiston, the Assault Squad, could advance out of the Impulsor and make some charges. There's just a few options with Gladiatus that would be quite cool here. I might just play Gladiatus, because then if I've played it, then I have some point of reference for both lists, and take it from there. If there's something that you guys really want to see, you can let me know. Obviously, we've had some people starting to submit army lists, which is cool. We'll get to them. I have a lot more videos to make and a lot of things to consider. Let us know in the comments, or let me know in Discord, all the things that you have noticed and are doing in 9th edition. 9th edition? 10th edition. God, I'm going to get that wrong forever. Thank you for staying to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. Please consider subscribing. Obviously, I am John. This is the Blood Angels Commander channel. And every week, we're making various content to try and help you be a better Blood Angels player. I'll see you in the next videos, my friends. Peace.